Hi, everyone. I am so excited to share with you a reading journey challenge that's going to help you to grow this year in reading. This document that I'm sharing with you and going over has everything that you need. My goal is for you to just push yourself in reading and just to try. And having some kind of an end goal will really help you to get there. So I'm going to walk you through this document. It's kind of long, but it's important. It's long because it covers our entire year. It sets you up on your reading journey, and it'll always be here. You'll have your own copy where you can go back and visit this document, type into this document all the books you've been reading this year. So let's get started. So this year, I want you to focus on just really working on what it means to be a reader, okay, and pushing yourself. I want to encourage you to challenge yourself to become stronger and better than you were before, okay? So you can all do that. If you're already like a reader, I think this challenge is still good for you because it gives you an end goal. If you're not much of a reader right now, this is awesome for you too because you're going to get to grow in this area. Here are the things that you actually need to do this. You're going to need commitment. You're going to need a positive attitude. You're going to need honesty with your teachers and yourself. And you're going to have trust, not just with your teachers, but with the other readers in the class. Okay. What that means is when you're reading, it's okay to say, like, that is a hard text for me. Or it's okay to say, I've never really read that genre before. We're all in this together, and we are going to definitely help each other to grow and to learn. Um, and the only way we can do that is if we're all making sure that we are being honest with each other. Okay. All right. So I do want to make a special note right here. Um, we do understand that because libraries are closed, that you're going to have a harder time finding books, and we understand that. So don't be too worried about that. We really just want you to do what you can with the resources that you have that are available to you. In our family, we haven't really been able to go to the library too often because of just the way it's been set up. So we have been really trying to use online resources, and we've had to like kind of read a little bit differently than we're used to. But you know what? That's something that we have to do this year, just adapt and adjust to the situation that we're in. All right, but our goal is we're going to try any of these challenges or maybe a combination of these challenges. So some of these, as you notice, will be required and some are optional. So here's a required one. It's called the Multi-Genre Reading Challenge. That is required because even though we can't check out a ton of different books this year with the libraries, we can try to read different genres. And I want to challenge you to mix up your diet. I know some of you only read fantasy. Nod your head if that's you. Yep. I know some of you might only read a graphic novel. Nod your head if that's you. And that's okay. But this year, if we're setting this goal, we're going to try to mix it up a little bit. Okay. That's how you are going to get better. So you need to give me that commitment that you're willing to do that. That is a required challenge. So I know everyone will rise to that level. Another one that's really important is called Reading Without Walls Challenge, and I'll explain that down below. It's basically reading diverse and different books, just stretching out of your comfort zone. And then another required one is setting your own number challenge. So, reading 20 books, you could set a number to 25 or 30 or 40. It's really up to you. You set your own number. If that motivates you, I think you should set it, but know that you might need to revise it. Sometimes kids who typically don't come in as readers say, you know what, this year I'm going to read 40, but in previous years, they may never have read that many or even read 20. So you have to set a reasonable goal. So if you're not a typical reader, I would start slow and say maybe 20 or 25 to start. And then if you see yourself, like, let's say a checkpoint is January and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really rocking this, then we can always add a different number. And I want to say the number is not what's important. It's more just kind of like a little small goal. All these other parts are really what's important for your reading. And then I have a couple of different optional ones. This is the book of the month lunch bunch with me. I'll host a Zoom call. We'll eat lunch together and we will talk about a book. And I already have a schedule of books that I want to talk about. And I'll share that with you. It's on the bottom pages of this document. Better than last year challenge. I mean, honestly, guys, that should just be for everyone, right? Everyone should try to be better than last year. Now, here's the tricky part. Last year, we had a special situation with our country with so many things shut down. So this one is kind of, I'm putting a little star on that one. It's just be better than you were last month. How about that? Okay. So don't stress about that too much. The next one is called the Winner Chicken Dinner Award Winner Challenge. So basically, you're reading award-winning books. So you can choose any of these challenges or a combination or just one if you want. Remember, like I said, some are required. There's 3 that are required, so you do have to do all of those. All right. If you want to succeed in this challenge, there are some tips I have for you. So here's tip number 1. Be open to trying out new genres. You never know till you try it. And please do not save your most hated genre that you absolutely despise for the end. Try it out at the beginning. It's kind of like eating new foods. You want to try it out first and give it a fair shake because who knows, you might actually like it. And to be fair, I think you have to try a couple of different times. I think saying one and done is not going to work because maybe you just picked the wrong book or the wrong writing style for that genre. So be open. Tip number 2 is you've got to take book recommendations from your classmates, from people that read like you, or maybe your teacher has a cool list, which we have lots of great recommendations for you. It is on our virtual bookshelf, but you've got to go for it and look through there. It is not my job, it's not your teacher's job to always recommend a book for you. That's a life skill that you as a reader have to have. We will be happy to supply the resources like documents and Google Slides or websites for you, but it's your responsibility because you're the reader. All right. Also, your friends who read like you are a great resource. There's some awesome websites with great books. Even just typing into Google, chapter book recommendations for 5th graders or 6th graders. Perfect. Okay, you never know. All right, tip number 3, please don't abandon books all the time. I do realize sometimes you will have to stop a book, and that's okay. But make sure you have a good reason and make sure that you've at least given the book like 50 to 100 pages in if possible. Okay. A way to avoid always abandoning a book is when you are in the library or even in your at home and you're trying to figure out what book do I read, try to make sure that you have a list going on. You've read reviews, you've read recommendations, you might have even read a sample page, just so you know that it feels good for you. You've tried to see if the vocabulary and the reading level is all right and that you're interested in it by reading the summary. Okay, so make sure you do that. All right, tip number 4, you've got to set goals to meet your reading goals. Okay, so for example, you could say if I'm reading, let's say, 20 books this year, my goal is to read 2 chapter books a month, or maybe 1 chapter book a month. Depends on how fast or slow you read, how much time you dedicate to reading. So once you start writing this out, you'll see how many chapter books you have to read to get to your number. All right, tip 5, don't wait till the last minute to start this challenge or you won't finish. We are not going to procrastinate. Listen, you don't start school saying, I'm just going to wait till January to start working on my goals. We only have 10 months together to grow you as readers. So you start now. You start yesterday. All right. You need to start right now on jumping on this challenge. I've seen so many students who may not heed my advice, and other kids are starting to, and they're not. And what happens is, they start to feel a little bit different, and they're starting to see their peers like take off in reading. So I don't want that to happen to you. I've been teaching for a really long time. Trust me. You've got to start these challenges sooner, and it all starts right here. Once you say it up here, you're good. No one's going to stop you. You're going to be successful. And I think just starting ahead of time is the game changer. Now, tip number 6 is really important to me because I think you will be surprised how much you can read. So I would suggest reading during edge times. So what's edge time? Edge time reading are those few minutes in between life that's just a waiting time. For example, you have to go somewhere, you're at a restaurant, you bring your book, and as you're waiting for your meal to come, you're reading. Maybe that's 5 minutes, maybe that's 10. Sometimes restaurants take a long time, it could be 15 or 20. Boom, you've just read 15 or 20 books, right? And every single time you read during edge time, even if it's just 5 minutes here and there, you will be surprised how many minutes you can rack up in a day. I'll give you an example. So, for example, if I read 5 minutes, let's say I'm just waiting for my teacher's Zoom call to start, 5 minutes. I have a little bit of extra time. I'm going to jump on and read for 20 minutes, right? And then let's say I have a break in between somewhere and I'm just going to read for 10 minutes. And then at nighttime, maybe I want to do a little bit more reading. That's 20 minutes. Okay, so let's do some math here. Not a math teacher, but I think I can do this one. So it's 20, 30, 50, 55. If you just read during edge time, plus a little bit more, it's almost an hour of reading that you've just done. But listen, I want to show you another thing. Some kids who always have that emergency book near them or they take it with them all the time, if they're just reading during those edge times, it's like 10 minutes there, 5 minutes there, maybe another 10 minutes there, another 5 minutes there. Those minutes add up. Let's do the math again. That's 10, 15, 20, 30. That's 30 minutes, and that's just edge time. That's not including like where you actually sit for a longer amount of time and you're reading like for 20 plus minutes straight. Okay? So, guys, I can't stress this enough. Edge time reading is super duper important. Tip number 7. I'd like for you to read every single day. You brush your teeth every day, you read every day, right? So we've got to read every single day. That includes on weekends. That includes during vacations and breaks when you can. Now, I understand on some vacations, obviously, you won't be able to, read, but if you can bring that book, that would be ideal. It'll help you move towards your goals, okay? Um, and sometimes if you're not reading enough at school and you have more time during vacations or weekends, that's when you can usually read a little bit more. Because I know it's hard with school and you've got schoolwork and you're focused on that. So maybe you don't always have time to sit and read. I know we give you reading assignments, but there's other things that you want to do. Make sure you're taking advantage of weekends and breaks and things like that. And if you miss a day of reading, don't beat yourself up. Just make it up the next time. Remember that really what we're trying to do is we are developing habits, right? If you have a habit of you're like, I love the habit of I get to play on my iPad, or I get to play Roblox, or I get to do a video game. Maybe that's a habit you have. You are going to develop a new habit. You're going to try to read every single day. If your habit, you developed a habit to brush your teeth every day, at least I hope you did, make sure that you're having that same intention because you know that brushing your teeth is good for you. You're doing the same thing here because reading is so good for you. All right? All right. Tip number 8. Please don't do your main reading at bedtime. Okay, listen to me again. I am not saying you can't read at bedtime. You can absolutely read at bedtime. I will read at bedtime sometimes just to relax and unwind from the day. But if that is the main core reading that you're doing is only at bedtime, I'm going to say you need a new habit, okay, or revise this habit. The reason for this is sometimes when it's nighttime, let's say it's 8:30 at night, you've had a really long day, or maybe 9 if that's your bedtime, and you're starting to lie there, you're kind of using it as kind of like a way to fall asleep. Your brain isn't actually thinking and inferring, making predictions, connections, asking questions, summarizing. You're not doing all those inner voice strategies that good readers do. You're probably just reading just to relax and unwind. I'm not saying there's not a place for that because I do that, but I also know that if I really, really want to think about my reading, I have to do it during a main reading time. Okay. I have to do it at a main reading time. I do understand that, you should read to relax and stuff, but mix it up a little bit, and that will really help you. Okay, now it's time to talk about book idea recommendations. Like, how do I find a good book? So, I've listed a bunch of websites for you. Also, your classroom reading community will have lots of recommendations for you. Um, your teacher might have a recommendation list, your librarian, your parents might have a few things. And also, don't forget about our virtual online bookshelf. It's posted in your Schoology course, and there's lots there too. So you have a ton of resources. Okay, now it's time to talk about those specific challenges. So here we go. The first challenge was set your own number challenge. So you would type in here, you would type in there how many books that you read in fourth grade if you know that number. You can just guess. You don't have to have an exact number, but just kind of guess if you can. If you truly don't know, you can just, write a range like, I think it was between 10 to 12 or 5 to 10, something like that. Okay. Now, I also want you to figure out what your fifth grade goal is. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Let's say, for example, that you read one book per month and we have school for 10 months. If you did that, then you would be reading a total of 10 books in the year. Okay? Now, let's say you read 2 books a month. So for the month of September, you read 2 books. That would give you 20 books total. Okay? If you read 3 books in a month, you would have read 30 total books in 10 months of school. If you read 4 a month, which that's a hard one because that's about you're finishing 1 book a week, that is 40 books. Okay. And then, goodness gracious, if you're doing 5 a month, that's probably putting you at 50. Now, I want to tell you something. We are not expecting you to read 50. We're not expecting you to read 40. We're not even expecting you to read 30. We are expecting you to do your best, whatever that is. For some people, their best is 40. For some people, their best is 30. For some people, their best is 20. For some people, their best is 10. Whatever the case is, every learner is so different that I think that you have to personalize it for yourself. Okay? So I would love for everyone to try for 20. Okay? I think every fifth and sixth grader can try for 20 for sure. Okay? That's the goal. But listen, friends, if you can't do that, don't beat yourself up. Just do your very best. That's all your teachers care about. That's what your parents care about, your family members care about, and what you should care about. All right. Okay, let's talk about the next challenge. It is required. It's called Reading Without Walls. Okay, so the goal of this challenge is to read books that expand, that means it makes it bigger, your ability to learn about the world and others. And by doing so, you learn more about yourself, right? It is a beautiful thing when you are reading books where you see other characters who are experiencing things in their life, but you're learning about you. I think that is profound. So basically, in this challenge, you're just trying something new, right? Not your same old, same old. Okay, you're going to get out of that rut and try something new. So here are some ways to read. I call them reading without walls. Reading without walls. So you're going to either read about a character that doesn't look or live like you. So a lot of us who live in Mason, we might be used to just like our community, and you want to read about characters who might live in a whole different country, or they might live in a whole different experience. Maybe they live in the country, but a whole different experience than you. And I think that's really important as people, that we read about people who are not living in our own experience. Okay, it just develops your heart. And as people and as readers, that's really what we want. We want to grow this so big so that when we get out in the world, we can like take care of others and empathize. That's a huge word. Empathize means you are feeling what they are feeling. I can't spell. Empathize. You are feeling what they're feeling, and then you can take action and do something. Empathize. Oh my goodness, you guys. And I'm a language arts teacher. Haha. Okay, it's hard to make videos and write and spell at the same time. All right, so our next way to read without walls is reading about a topic you don't know much about. Maybe you're curious about, oh gosh, I don't know. I'm just throwing out a random topic here. How about World War II? Just throwing out a random topic. So you're reading something about that. Or maybe you're reading about a topic like you don't know about India, okay, or you're not familiar with it exactly. Maybe you have some friends that may be Indian like me, but you're not used to the culture. You don't really know. So you would go and like find a book and read about it. So that would be a way to read without walls. Another one is in a format or a writing style or a genre you don't normally read. For example, if you typically read only graphic novels, I love graphic novels, by the way. I don't want you to think that I don't. I love, love, love graphic novels. Um, Trying to read without walls means that maybe your next book is something that is not a graphic novel. Maybe you're trying a completely different genre. So it's similar to the multi-genre challenge, but it's like breaking down the walls that you have about reading. Okay. If you've never read poetry before, maybe you'll try it this year. It's beautiful. If you don't love fantasy, maybe you'll try it this year. And a big one that I think for most kids is informational or nonfiction text. You are only a fiction reader. This is your year to read without walls. Try some nonfiction articles. I think you're going to love it. There's some really good nonfiction out there and some online articles you can check out. All right. Another way to read without walls is read a variety of books that takes you outside of where you live. We already kind of mentioned that. Read about different types of characters and their problems, conflicts or problems. And also read about complex life stories, lessons, and themes that are different from you. I really love this challenge, and I can't wait for you guys to try it, and I hope you get to love it too. Okay, this next one is an optional challenge. It's called the Lunch Bunch with Mrs. Mathai, or the Book of the Month Lunch Bunch with Mrs. Mathai. So I will be hosting a lunch bunch with online learners, and I've chosen a book for each month. If you're doing this challenge, I'd like for you to come to 3 out of the 6 meetings. If you want to come to all 6, that would be so cool, but you don't have to. Remember, this is optional because you'd be doing this during your lunchtime. Okay. You would be reading at home on your own. You would just come to the lunch bunch with, thoughts you have about the book, and we'd eat lunch together and share with other kids in 5th and 6th grade. Now, I don't know the dates and everything just yet, but I will let you know. Now, if you're doing the lunch bunch and other kids are doing it too, they may be checking out or wanting to check out the same book. So you'll have to make sure you're reading those books quickly, turning them in so then other kids can read it. And if you would like to order books on Amazon and your family can handle that, that's another option. But again, this is optional and you don't have to do that. But I would love to talk books with you guys. I want to show you the books that I've chosen for this challenge. Here they are. I try to pick a lot of like diverse books, and I think some of these books might even help you with the Reading Without Walls challenge as well. Oops, I think on the other side I said 3 out of 6. It should be 3 out of 5. All right, so the very first book is called New Kid. Oh my gosh, I love, love, love this book. It did win an award, so it's super good. It is a graphic novel, and it's amazing. What I want you to do is just click on that link right there. It'll take you to either Amazon or another website called Goodreads. Then when you click on there, let me see if I can do it and take you out of here. It will take you to another website where you can check out the audio. You can check out a summary. It'll even let you listen to the first page of the book, which is exciting. So click on those links and it should help you kind of investigate the book a little bit more. Also at the bottom, oopsie, uh-oh. Okay, also at the bottom, let me see if I can do this. Right here, I included the first line of every book, but it's hard to see because it's kind of tiny. But I screen grabbed these from Amazon. So if you click on Amazon and you click on, open this book, it'll take you to the first page. And that's where I got these from. So, but hopefully you'll be able to check that out. And that'll help you want to see which books you want to read. Now, I will tell you this one right here, it is written in a format called poetic verse. It tells a narrative story, but in poetic verse. What's cool about this book is it mentions Cincinnati in there, so I love this one. I just read this book this summer. It's called Blended. It's by Sharon Draper. Fun fact, Sharon Draper is actually an author who's from Cincinnati as well. So it's a story about a girl who is mixed race and her relationship with her parents and things like that. Front Desk is another great one. It's by Kelly Yang. It's about an Asian American girl who comes to America, and her family owns a hotel and they have to kind of adapt to the culture. And then Alan Gratz is such a good historical fiction author, but this is told from 3 different perspectives of different students, or sorry, not students, of kids who are refugees coming to America. And what's cool about that book is it's told from different time periods too. So that's really, really cool. I hope that you'll check out these books. And if you're interested, I'll have a Google form later for you to fill out. And then you can make a commitment to coming. And then I will send out exact times later on. I don't have those exact times right now. What I would recommend, though, is if you are interested, put these dates down in your planner if you have it, or you can use Schoology Calendar or Google Calendar if you know how to do those kind of things. But if not, I will also send out reminders and your teachers will have it on their checklist as well. Okay, so this next part of this document is a list of award-winning books. This is another challenge you could take. You could check out Newbery Award books. And then right here, I gave you what the Newbery Award is all about. And then these are a few of my recommendations. You can also just go to the Newbery Awards website and you can check out even more books there. Of all the winners, I think you should read whether it actually won the first place or all the honor books. Those honor books are honestly just as good. And then there's a few more. There's the Schneider Family Award, and that's for books that show disabilities. The Coretta Scott King Book Award, it is an appreciation of African American culture and commemorates the life of Dr. King. The Robert F. Seibert Informational Books Award, that's for informational books, which is really cool. Okay, so then the next part of this is where every couple of months, we're going to stop and reflect on our reading journey. Okay, so right here it says my goal number of books. You'll write that again. And then what you'll do is when it's time in October, you will tally up how many books you've read, right? Type in that number there. You're going to highlight which one of these represents you. Then you're going to do a little bit of reflection in that box. I feel my reading is going great because, or I feel my reading is going not so great because. Tell us what you're proud of, what your favorite books so far have been, and then any other goals that you have. Okay, so you'll do that reflection in October, in January, in March, and at the end in May. And it'll be so fun to see how far you've grown. Okay. All right. And this last couple of pages this is where you are keeping track of your books, guys. So we're making it digital this year because while we're online, we don't want you to lose it. If you're not really a digital person and you prefer to do it on paper, you could, but it just makes it a little bit harder for your teachers to see what you have finished. Unless maybe you took a picture and snapped it and linked it on here. But if you just put everything right here, I made about 40 boxes, I think, because, like I said, some of you I know they, probably could read 40. And if you just fill up to 20, that's fine. 25, that's fine. Really, remember what we said. It's really personalized for you. This entire year is personalized for you. Now, I will say, your teachers may say, you know what? I've seen your scores. I know what you can do. I think you can actually do more than 20 books this year. When your teacher gives you that coaching, you listen and you go for it. You just try. I also made a section for any extra books that you've read where I didn't give you enough boxes and you want to throw that on there. All right, everyone. So that is the reading challenge. If you have any questions, feel free to ask later on in your small group meetings or your morning meetings. I'm sure your teachers will go over it again, just to remind you. But I just want everyone to know that you can do this. You've got to make that commitment and you've got to set that intention right here, right? You set that intention, you push yourself towards those goals, you ask for help, you use all the resources. There's no way you're not going to be successful. You can do this. I believe in you. I just know you can do it. Just go for it. Okay. Stretch yourself this year.